I'm Alex Rackle from Board Game Co., and this is News and Week in Review, where we're going to dive into a variety of news pieces, the games I play, the Board Game Geek hotness, the videos of the week, all of that and more, and of course, links and timestamps to everything down below. Let's go ahead and start with, sorry, my tab over here. Let's go ahead and start with Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era, the Pledge Manager is closing September 6th, so you have roughly 2 weeks to go ahead and get your hands on that if you haven't yet gotten your hands on it. There's already a bunch of content out on the game. I have a few unboxings, or I have 8 unboxings, not a few unboxings. I believe Jeremy Howard has a playthrough, and I should have more content hopefully before it closes. I'm aiming to have more content before it closes, but we'll see what we can do. We also have over here, we have a Crokinole drama. Women Board covered the Tracy boards and Mayday Games Crokinole drama. The very short recap of it is Mayday Games used a Crokinole board image in their advertising for their new Elite boards. And then when called out on it, they wiped the logo, but they actually kept the same board. They just scrubbed the logo from the board, which the whole entire thing is a terrible look. Now, I will say I have been following some stuff back and forth on Facebook, and Seth, the owner of Mayday Games, has apologized, has, been very supportive, like, oh my gosh, we're huge fans of Tracy boards, all our customers, many of our customers go on to, buy their boards. Publicly, it's coming across very nice, and he's attributing these issues to web designers or whatever and misunderstandings. I would say that on its own, I would give that a lot more credence. Unfortunately, Mayday Games does have a history of things like this over their years in business, where they get into trouble here and there for silly things like this. And so I can't possibly say what intent was or is, but I can say that when there's repeated patterns of behavior, it's not always the best look, and in this case, there are certainly repeated patterns of behavior. I'm still a fan of, the tricky part is, I'm a fan of Mayday Games in some areas. I'm also a fan of Sleeve Kings, which I believe is a subsidiary of Mayday Games, if I'm not sure, or Imperial Publishing. They're definitely related in one form or another. And so, I am both a fan of some of their products and also have raised an eyebrow at certain things that they've done over the years. But this is a great video, highly entertaining, from Chris George. Definitely recommend checking it out. We have over here from Board Game Wire, we have Asmodee remains the jewel in Embracer's crown despite suffering quarterly sales drop. Basically, Embracer is not doing great, and Asmodee is still doing great, is the very short takeaway from this article. If you don't know, Embracer is a large acquisitions group. Asmodee is the largest, I think it's the largest single entity within that group at this point. It is the best performing. They've actually borrowed $1 billion or something like that. Some large amount of money they borrowed against the success of Asmodee to help bail out Embracer Group. So, as part of this large acquisition group of things, Asmodee is the one that is shining the greatest amongst a whole bunch of video games and how poorly they're performing. Good news for board games, bad news for video games, I guess. We also have over here an interesting article from Richard Garfield, talking about playing on hard mode. He talks about the nature of hard modes, of handicaps, of advantages in games. He goes through it. Richard Garfield, obviously the designer of Magic the Gathering, and dozens of other games that you may or may not know about, from Bunny Kingdom to King of Tokyo, and many Keyforge, many more games. Richard Garfield's involved in a lot of them, and Magic the Gathering is his most famous. And he just talks about the nature of handicaps and hard modes, and just the best way to handle players in a game. I thought it was a really well done article. I believe he was the one. I believe there's a talk I was once listening to from Richard Garfield talking about the nature of luck in games and about how luck is almost important because it gives players something to feel good about if they lose. Meaning, effectively, if you lose a game that is all skill-based, there's not much you can say other than I lost the game and hopefully I have fun. But if you lose a game that has even a small amount of luck in the game, it's easier to mentally be like, oh, well, that's the way the dice roll, it is what it is, I play a good game, but something doesn't always work out. And that can make your experience more enjoyable because you have a way to write off why you lost if losing is important to you. And I thought it was a fascinating article just about how even a small amount of luck can give players the agency to feel better about why an outcome didn't go their way. Obviously, this only matters if you care enough about winning that it would affect your enjoyment of the game, but I think that there are many people in this world who that is something that would happen. So either way, Richard Garfield, not just a great game designer, great at writing articles on game design. We also over here from Board Game Wire again, we have Oink Games has printed more than 300,000 copies of Deep Sea Adventure, and they have a new edition coming out. Oink Games puts out a ton of small box games that are very popular. Deep Sea Adventure, I believe, is the one that kind of made them more famous. I don't know if it's their first one or not, but it's definitely the one that I most originally attribute to them, but it's doing well with 300,000 copies sold, which is a large amount of games in the board game space. And then lastly, we have PC Games reviewing Slay the Spire, which is great because PC Games is a video game company, and Slay the Spire is a board game inspired by a video game, which is inspired by tabletop games, ironically enough. But they just review the game, which I thought was great to see a non-gamer review of Slay the Spire and see their thoughts and opinions in it, which honestly don't stray that far from my own. It very, very faithfully matches Slay the Spire, which is both a great thing if you're a fan of the game, but also it could be a bad thing when you're charging $100 for the game instead of $15, and you have to deal with unsleeping your cards instead of just hitting reset at the end of it. So, and that's not said critically, that's genuinely. Slay the Spire is a great video game adaptation, but it also means you have to know if you're the target audience for why you would want to play that over just playing the video game. And that's what we have for news, which brings us to the Board Game Geek Hotness. Board Game Geek Hotness, as usual, we're going to be reviewing a bunch of the Board Game Geek Hotness here, just talking about a bunch of games that are, well, on the hotness over here. Starting off, we have a bunch of things that we've seen the past few weeks. We have A Gentle Rain, we have Napoleon, Age of Innovation. Where are we? We have the Shackleton base. So Journey to the Moon over here. That's going to be an interesting one. Competitive game experience, worker placement, where you're going to have 3 different corporations in play every game, determining the structures you're going for, determining different aspects from how to score, different things you can do in the game. I believe the game plays out across 3 ages, if not mistaken, and it seems intriguing. It's from some of the various Italian designers. I believe Nesta Margoni, but I could be mistaken with that. We have River of Gold over here somewhere. Do we have Stamp Swap? Where is River of Gold? Did I scroll past it? River of Gold over here. This one I've actually been playing. I'll be talking about it a bit in the games I played. This coming to you from, I don't actually know who the publisher is. I don't know offhand. But River of Gold is there's 3 actions you can do every single round as you build up the river effectively, as you sail your ship along the river, and as you fulfill contracts. There's a fun little puzzle of gaining control of different areas. I've played it twice now in Board Game Arena, and I'm so far enjoying it. I probably will have a review at some point. I don't have a physical copy yet. This is one of those games that more often than not I have a physical copy and then I play it, but sometimes I play a game in some other fashion, either at a convention or a Board Game Arena, and then if I like it enough, I'm like, I will seek that out and cover and review it. Currently, I'm leaning towards getting River Gold, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We also over here Stamp Swap. This one's going to be the news from Stonemaier Games. They dropped that Stamp Swap is, well, here, and you can check out Stamp Swap. You can check out my coverage of Stamp Swap today. I'll have a review and gameplay going up today, but Stamp Swap from Stonemaier Games, their newest game over here. We have Yokohama, which is somewhere over here. It's higher up. Did it go up? There we go. Yokohama's at number 3 already. Yokohama, this is an older title that's gotten a bit more. It's from TMG originally, but it looks like it's picked up by, oh my gosh, by Flat River or someone within that branch of companies. Not Shet. Who did it? Who picked it up? I don't know. But either way, Yokohama, it's got a beautiful new reprinting of a classic worker, well, classic's relative, as a popular worker placement game with an interesting movement mechanism to it, and an interesting building up of the locations. Yokohama, it's a game I played once, always wanted to play it more, and never got a chance to. And then finally, we have Tikal Legend, a new version of Tikal that is not just a reprinting, but is actually a change in mechanics, adds new things to the game experience as you spread out across the board, building up your temples or all these different things. I'm pretty sure I played Tikal. I'm 99% sure. Let me just open up Tikal over here. I'm 99% sure I played this game. I remember like the look, but there's a few games like this kind of game. It's like Cusco. Like this looks very familiar to me, but I'm not certain because like there's Cusco as well, which is like very similar looking but different. And I may have played Cusco. Well, I played the new Cusco. I may have played the old Cusco as well. But either way, that's what we got as far as the Board Game Geek Hotness, which means it's time to dive into the games I played. This week, played a few games. First of all, I dove back into 4th Northward, loving 4 Northward, still having a ton of fun with it. I've been going through it both physically. I just traveled this week and I played a few games while traveling, but also playing on Board Game Arena. It is a great game that I'm really enjoying. There's, oh my gosh, what has it been? I might have to pull up my phone to remember what I had in mind. I'm going to pull my phone up because I specifically looked beforehand. But we have Hanamakoji. Oh my gosh, I got several games of Hanamakoji in. I love Hanamakoji. It's an excellent experience and one that I'm glad I got to play it a bunch of times. I started playing with the new powers for the first time, which I've never actually used the new packs of the I cut, you choose mechanics of Hanamakoji. But I finally started diving into it. It's been long enough, and I'm enjoying them. Some are a little more chaotic than others. I don't enjoy them all equally, but I believe I've played with 2 of the new packs so far, and I plan on playing with more. We have River Valley Glassworks. River Valley Glassworks is a great game that I've been starting to dive into to play the modules. This is a game that I did already review. It is a game that might get a re-review from me. Not all games get a re-review, meaning when I cover the prototype and then down the road cover the final game. Not all games get a re-review. There has to be a good reason for it. In this case, the reason might be that there's like 6 different modules, and I've already played with 2 of them. Once I play with all 6 of them, I may be interested, and play the solo mode for that matter, both things I never did during the original campaign. It might be time to re-review the game when that happens. And then we have River of Gold, which I kind of loosely mentioned already, but I really like the puzzle of River of Gold. I'm finding it challenging to properly manage all the things I need to manage to keep up with the choices that the game presents to you as far as how to how to play well, because there's a lot of things going on as far as managing your economy, managing where you build locations along the river, managing how you move your boat, managing the various things coming your way as people go to your locations. Are you getting points? Are you getting influence? Are you getting currency or goods? All these different things, and trying to find the right puzzle of what it is you need to be able to make your way to the top of the game, fulfilling different goals that are present every game. And so far, I am enjoying the puzzle as I play through it, but like I said already, I definitely need more plays, and eventually a review will probably come your way. And that's what we have as far as the games I played, which brings us to the videos of the week. Videos of the week, starting off with this past Saturday, we had a review for Risk 2210. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. That's definitely an optimistic, slightly nostalgic, rose-colored glasses 3.5 out of 5, because I think it still is Risk. It is my favorite version of Risk from the versions of Risk I played, but it still has the problems that come along with Risk. It is slow-moving, it's pile up in the leader, it's very, very luck-driven, but it has a lot of things that make the game more compelling, and it's a personal childhood favorite of mine, so that's Risk 2210. Later on Saturday, we had a review for Bounty Hunters. Did we? I'm not even sure. I think we had Bounty Hunters. Bounty Hunters, give another 3.5 out of 5. This one is definitely a fun filler game. It's a little on the light side. It's might be kind of a little forgettable. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Splitto, and I think I'd almost always choose Splitto. I think that's the main problem. So I think Bounty Hunter is going heavily up against Splitto as the type of game where you're both trying to gather the thing that gets you points and the thing that gives you opportunities to gain points. Is effectively what's happening, because you're trying to capture bounties, but then you need cards to capture bounties. And I think I like Splitto more. And I think because of that, Bounty Hunters probably is not staying in my collection. But we'll see. On Monday we had two back and not to back. Sunday we had a video on convention halls, about the nature of convention halls. Like, are they bothersome? How to deal with them? Like, you come back from Gen Con, you see people posting pictures where they spent, like, clearly thousands of dollars on board games. And that introduces a degree of both envy and judgment and frustration all at the same time. So I kind of talk about that nature, and both from content creators as well as from individuals, and just how to handle those things, or the thoughts to kind of think for yourself, and or, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what to think, but the coping mechanisms for if you're frustrated by somebody doing, and also just the things to take into account along the way as well. Just an interesting video, in my opinion, interesting video on convention halls, especially when they seem to be very braggadocious in what they're doing. On Monday we have two back and not to back, just going over a bunch of crowdfunding campaigns. Another short video this week, nothing, no major highlights. There's always going to be weeks that have, like, clear standout campaigns, and weeks that are like, whatever's there is there. On Tuesday we had a preview, a sponsored preview for Norsemen going up for Meg, and then later on Tuesday we had a sponsored preview for Scarce going up for Meg. I can't talk too heavily about either of those games. I did not play them myself. And then lastly on Tuesday we had a review going up for Spectacular. This was a 5 out of 5 for me. My third 5 out of 5 for the year. I believe I gave Things and Rings a 5 out of 5. I gave Primal a 5 out of 5, but does that even count? Is that the one I'm counting? I'm not sure, because I gave Primal 5 out of 5 3 years ago when I first played it, and I just confirmed that my opinion hadn't changed after continuing to play it. But was Primal my other 5 out of 5? I feel there's something different, but I'm losing track of what that is. I might be wrong. It might just be Primal. I don't know. I have to like check my logs of what I reviewed. But effectively, this Spectacular is a 5 out of 5 for me. It is a game that I absolutely always want to play every single time I play it. I am really enjoying it. I think it's amazing. I think it is spectacular. But I really like it. I think it's great, and I highly recommend checking it out. That's Spectacular. On Wednesday we had a Gen Con 2023 look back. This is a video directly inspired by the Brothers Murph. Go ahead and check out their channel, subscribe to their videos, watch their own 2023 look back. But basically, it's taking a look at the haul from last year and saying how well have these games fared? How well have the games held up? Are they games that they're still playing? Are they enjoying them? It is going back to that video about convention halls. It's kind of a look back of, okay, great, all this stuff came in. Which of those things were worth tabling and playing and keeping a year later? And so I go through that. The short version is, I believe, 18, was it 18? I think 18 games, or maybe 17. Either 17 or 18 games out of 48 played games, and 3 that were not played yet are the games that I still have in my collection one way or another. And that's decent numbers, honestly, because I don't expect to keep it. Again, if you're someone coming back from Gen Con spending thousands of dollars, it is one thing, and you have to define your own goals and whether that works for you. For me, I come back with games to review and homework assignments to review, and I don't expect to keep all of them. I never expect to keep all of them. I was honestly impressed that it was as high as 17 out of 48. A third of the games that I kept from Gen Con, to me, practically speaking, the amount of games I play, I probably only keep on any given year maybe a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, like somewhere around there as far as the games I played. So a third from Gen Con just almost means that the Gen Con games have a higher quality than the average games I'm playing throughout the year, which I thought was interesting. And then you can watch the video if you want the breakdown of the games. On Thursday we had a few videos. We had a review going up for Planto Nubo. Did we? Yeah, we had a review going up for Plantanubo on Thursday. Then we also had that's a decent game that I gave a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's incredibly intricate in what it does, but also I think that for me it was too fiddly and it was too much for what it does, if that makes sense. It didn't feel as rewarding as I would have liked. It's a good game. I'm happy I've played it and enjoyed it. I just don't think it is a blow me away kind of game. On Thursday, later on Thursday, we had the weekly live, going through again the weekly live, your questions, your answers, all that stuff, the Q&A and all that. And the last day on Thursday, we had a Teneris final unboxing. This is another unboxing for Teneris Adventures. There's been like 4 of them by now, or 5 of them. There's been way too many unboxings. They just have so much content, it's a little insane. But I go through like the big boxes and some extras and stuff and all that, but you can check that out as well. I think I heavily went into like a deep dive on coffee, left, right, and center in that video. And because today we have going up. We have a review and gameplay going up for a stamp swap from Stonemaier Games, and then next week we're gonna have a few videos going up. We're gonna have why holding its value matters to me. I talk about the nature of holding the value in crowdfunding campaigns and why that is something I harp on. Which, if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, I'm sure you know already. But I always get the question, and so I figure it's a video worth doing again 5 years later. And I also have a video for upcoming crowdfunding campaigns for the month of September going up later in the week. And that is basically that, which brings us to the games on the table. Games on the Ottoman. Games on the Ottoman instead. We have Caper Europe, which I hope to be diving into from Keymaster Games. I've played the original Caper. I never played Caper Europe. I am intrigued to do so. We have the Terraforming Mars Atama, which I am really hoping to dive into. I almost played it this past week, but it got deprioritized, so maybe this week is when I start playing it. We have Councilman Urbis, or I think Consulum Urbis. This is not a great title for anyone to see or pronounce, but Consulum Urbis over here, which I've heard from the publisher. They sent me this game to review, and I believe they said it's Cascadia-like, which we'll see if it is or isn't, but that's definitely enough to always pique my interest. And then we have Aqua Garden, which I've heard good things about in general, and would love to table this week. I'm halfway through the rules, and we'll see if I get fully through the rules in time to play this. That is basically everything for the week in review. Until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.